What an emotional day at the 2024 Giro d'Italia, stage 12, and today we witnessed Julian Alaphilippe come back to the top, win his first Giro d'Italia stage, but most importantly, bounce back from that serious injury he had from Liège-Bastogne-Liège a few years ago. Yeah, he won in the Critérium du Dauphiné last year, but this is his first big win since the World Championships in Flanders in 2021. And yeah, he won another World Championships here in Italy, in Imola, a few years ago as well. This win means a lot for him, emotional. When I spoke to the Frenchman over there in the mix zone, you could see and hear the emotion in his response. And in fact, I asked him, Julian, are you emotional? Yes, he said he was. And well, today he won it in style because it was a long escape, and I'll get into that. But first, let's talk about where we're at. We're in Le Marche. Today we started in Abruzzo, south of here. We're on the east coast of Italy, a stage of 193 kilometers, leaving Abruzzo, coming into Le Marche, and what a fabulous region. If you ever want to visit Italy, you're thinking probably Tuscany. Well, this is the off-beaten path Tuscany. Plenty of hilltop towns, rolling hills, super green year-round, and that seaside, tons of coastline where you can get your beach on. But today, let's talk about cycling. Not Valentino Rossi, who's also famous for this region as well. And the cycling we're going to talk about are the riders in this Giro d'Italia, the participants, because it's Tadej Pogacar leading the race. But yesterday we had a scare with one of his teammates, Felix Grossschartner, who crashed. He's continuing on in the race. We also saw that crazy crash in the final kilometer of the sprint yesterday, won by Jonathan Milan. The crash involved Fabio Jakobsen, went down in the crash. Well, unfortunately, he wasn't able to begin today's stage 12. Thankfully, his teammate, Kevin Vermarke, who was in the crash with Felix Grossschartner, was able to continue. In fact, he was part of this massive escape that we saw today. 38 riders, 193 kilometers the stage, and the escape went almost from the gun. Matteo Trentin, the old cagey Italian, stage winner in the Tour de France, riding for Team Tudor, he went on the attack around about 187 kilometers to go, 6 kilometers after the gun. From that attack that he launched, we saw a move form, 38 riders. It was all scattered out over the road, and it was starting to come together. But before it could come together, Julian Alaphilippe had this idea in mind. I better break away to do something before we form this big group, because otherwise it's going to be hard to manage, and out front I can do it better on my own. A day of 4 categorized climbs, small climbs you'd say, especially when we're talking about the Livigno stage on Sunday. And then that steep kicker at around 11.5 kilometers to go, Monte Jove. It's not even categorized, leaving at the top around 9.5 kilometers to go or so. That was the one we were all looking out for. So Julian Alaphilippe gets away, and along with him, Polti Cometa rider, second division team rider, Mirko Maestri. He joins him for the journey they were about to go on. And it was going to be a 120 kilometer journey. They attack, they're free, and you see Alaphilippe working and encouraging Maestri. Obviously not as strong as Julian with his twice world champion victories. His stripes are still showing on his collar and on his sleeves. He was encouraging Mirko. We spoke to Mirko in the mix zone, and he said, well, what did he say to you? What did he say? And he said, die, come on, Mirko, come on, we got this, let's do it. And you could see he was letting him pick up those mountain points. You knew that they had some sort of bargain worked out there. And he said, honestly, he didn't think he had a chance against Julian. So I think he made the deal, and Julian let him get those points and such. And he did drop him off on that climb there, 11.5 kilometers out. We see a solo Alaphilippe from the top of that climb to here in the finish, and he wins. Let's talk about what was going on back behind, because as I mentioned, 38 riders in that move. And Soudal Quickstep, Julian Alaphilippe's team, well, they had placed Mari Van Sevenant in the group. Also, Jan Hurt, which was a bit of an issue because he was the best placed rider in the group at 5:57. And at one point, he was threatening the podium spots of Bora and Team Ineos Grenadiers. So that was going to be a bone of contention for the escape group and also for the riders behind, having to control the group. Also in the move, as I mentioned, it was Kevin Vermarke. He had a teammate in there. It was Benjamin Thomas, already a stage winner. Ineos had 2 riders with Filippo Ganna and Jonathan Narvaez, the winner of stage 1. In that move also, UAE also had a rider. Rui Oliveira. From that group, while Alaphilippe was up the road, we saw a group of 9 form. The big names in there: Narvaez, Quinten Hermans, Christian Scaroni, and Michael Valgren, riding for EF Education Easy Post, and also Matteo Trentin, the man who started all the action. Well, behind, they thought, and they explained to us, Valgren explained to us, also Quinten Hermans, they explained that they thought they could get Julian Alaphilippe under control. Even though everybody was happy for his win, they wanted to have their shot, because this could be the last day for the escape riders like a Valgren and such, because over the next days we have a sprinter stage and we get into the TT in the mountains. They thought they could get him under control over the 120 kilometers, but things didn't work out with the cooperation of the group behind. We saw that 36 rider group with the 2 riders at the front, 38 in total, 36 shattered all up on the road. We had the 9 riders. It was 10, but we had Ewan Kostu. He had a mechanical problem with his Bianchi bike, and he had to drop out of that group. So 9 riders chasing. Then we had 2 and 2 chasing Alaphilippe. It was Christian Scaroni, and it all came down on the Monte Jove climb. And wow, what a steep climb, with a steep pitch of 17% near the top, come a little dip, and then another kicker up to the top. We saw Quinten Hermans following the move of Jonathan Narvaez. It was at first Valgren who was launching, but he underestimated the climb. It was too hard for him. He shouldn't have hit out too hard. He explained to us there when we spoke with him at the finish line. So Quinten Hermans went with Jonathan Narvaez, who was the best of the rest there. They were chasing, but it was useless. They couldn't pull back the solo Alaphilippe. Behind them, we saw Valgren and we saw Christian Scaroni chasing. And the GC group back behind, we didn't have good images on that, but what we hear, nothing really happened. We spoke to Geraint Thomas, we spoke to Tadej Pogačar after the finish. Everything was fine in there. They're all wanting to rest up before the TT in 2 days. We have the sprint stage tomorrow. But today was all about Alaphilippe, the emotional win of the Frenchman after being kicked around by the team boss, Patrick Lefebvre. We don't think he's going to continue with the Team Soudal Quick Step next year, but everything always surprises us with that team. So maybe he will, but we don't think he will. What today's win will do was give him so much more motivation, also raise his contract price when he's negotiating for a new team next year. And yes, he'll still be around in cycling, and we love his attacking style. So it's going to be great to see. All the riders came across. We spoke to Jan Hurt, who was in the escape, best placed GC rider. Spoke with Lamperti, also heard from Luc Lamperti, the American rider, in his first Grand Tour, that he's rooming with Julian Alaphilippe. So he's learning so much from the experienced veteran and still strong rider. Obviously able to pull off a stage win like that today. An emotional day, a great day of attacking and racing here at the 2024 Giro d'Italia. Victory for Julian Alaphilippe.